We're now looking at the third method that we need to be able to use. For your assessment, you'll need to use two methods, so that you've got two already, and this is a third one now. So this one's called a shortest path problem. So going back to what a path is, this is reminding you. So path is like a pathway, it's just going from here to there, it's a pathway to go between two places. So if I want to find the shortest path, I've got to have a starting point and I've got to have a finishing point. I want to go from the M8 Computer Lab down to the gym. So I've got a start point and a finish point. There's lots of ways that I could walk down there, okay, and that's what we're going to look at, is we want to be able to find which is the shortest way to get there. So for achieved and merit, we're just going to use a trial and error method to do this, and that means we need to find every single possible pathway or route and choose from that entire list which one's the best one. For excellence though, we need to learn to use a different method called Dijkstra's algorithm, and this is a much more complicated method, and so only if you're aiming for excellence will you need to be able to do this, and I've got that in a separate video. So let's have a look at this one. I've got a diagram here and it's looking at the driving times between these different towns, and I want to find the quickest way to drive from town A to town G. So the first thing we're going to do is just find a pathway, any pathway between A and G. And I'm going to start by trying the path A, B, F, G. So I'm going to go from node A to node B, from node B to node F, and then on to node G. So that's the pathway I'm going to choose. Now I need to work out what the travel time would be if I went that pathway. So A to B would take me 4 hours. Then going from B to F would take me another 4 hours. And going from F to G would take me another 4 hours. So in total that would take me 12 hours to go from A to G going that particular pathway. Right, so there's the part for that pathway. It would take me 12 hours. Let's find another path. Let's try a different one. Let's try A, C, D, E, G. So going from A, node A, to node C, then on to node D, then to node E, then to node G. And let's have a look at the total travel time for that. So going from A to C would be 3 hours. Going from C to D is plus another 3 hours. From D to E we had to add another 2 hours, and from E to G we're going to add another 2 hours. So that's going to give us a total of 10 hours. So if I took this pathway, that would take me 10 hours. If we took the previous pathway, that took 12 hours. So you can see that we found two different pathways. And what we need to do now is we need to find every single possible different pathway that we could have. Okay, so let me just go back to a blank diagram. I now need to look at if I went from A to B to F to G. That's the first one we did. Then I'm going to try going from A to B to D and straight down to G. But what if I went A to B to D, then down to E, and then to G? Went across that way instead. Or I went straight from A straight across to D and then to G. Or from A to D and then down to E and then across to G. Or A to C to up to D down to G. Or A to C across to E and then across to G. So I've got to look at all of those different possible pathways, okay? And that's what I have got in this little table here. I've gone and calculated every single possible path, and I've worked out what the travel time would be for every one of those paths, okay? So there's our total travel time. What we need to do now is find the smallest, the lowest travel time. And the lowest travel time is this one here of 9 hours, and that's if we went from A to B to D to E to G, that would only take us 9 hours to travel. So that's what our shortest path is. So our shortest path between town A and town G is to go from A to B to D to E to G, and that travel time of the drive is going to take 9 hours to do. And that's our solution, and I need to see all the working clearly and stating what the answer is, both the pathway and the total drive time or walking time or cost, whatever the variable is. So what I want to do now is go on to exercise D, and that's on from page 21, and answer all of those questions. If you're aiming for merit or excellence, then you've got to complete all of that in one lesson. Otherwise, 2 lessons.